Have you ever noticed that no matter how hard you try, discipline simply vanishes when you need it most? What if I told you the problem isn't your willpower, but something much deeper, something Japanese philosophy understood centuries ago that can completely transform how you view your failures? Most people believe discipline is about gritting your teeth, forcing yourself, resisting temptations. They wake up motivated, promise this time will be different, create perfect plans, and within a few days everything crumbles. Have you been through this? That feeling of failure that comes when you break your promise to yourself again. And then comes the guilt, the destructive self-criticism, that voice in your head saying you don't have what it takes. But here's the truth nobody tells you. You don't lose discipline because you're weak. You lose it because you haven't matured internally. And that changes everything. Look, the big trap is trying to change actions without transforming the internal structure that generates those actions. It's like trying to hold water with your bare hands. No matter the effort, the result will always be the same. Japanese philosophy teaches that before disciplining behavior, you need to cultivate the inner soil. Without that, any change is temporary, superficial, doomed to collapse. Stick with me until the end, because you're going to learn exactly how to restructure your mind so that discipline stops being a daily battle and becomes something natural, almost automatic. What you're about to discover might surprise you, because it goes against everything you've been taught about self-discipline. And before you think you know this story, let me tell you something that will turn your perspective upside down. The discipline you seek isn't hidden in complex methods or secret techniques. It's waiting for a single change, how you relate to yourself. And it starts now, at this exact moment, with a simple but powerful choice. By the way, while we're here together on this journey, I need to ask you an important question, and I want you to answer in the comments. What's the biggest obstacle preventing you from maintaining discipline for more than a week? It could be anxiety, fear of failing again, lack of clarity, whatever it is. Did you know that every time you leave a comment like this, you're helping spread the teachings of Japanese philosophy to more people? Your answer not only helps me create content even more targeted for you, but also inspires other people going through the same struggle. So comment below and be part of an exclusive community focused on transforming lives. Your voice matters here. And since we're talking about real transformation, if you've made it this far and still haven't liked this video, do it now, seriously. Can we hit the goal of 500 likes on this video? YouTube understands that when you like content, it's valuable, and that makes it so more people who need this message can find it. It's literally one click that can change someone's life. So leave your like now because it's free and has a huge impact. And there's one more crucial thing. Before continuing, check if you're already part of this path. Subscribe to the channel because the next videos are part of a complete series to forge discipline, strong mindset, and prepare you to enter 2026 on another level. It's not just about watching, it's about committing to your own evolution. Now that you're here, truly present, let's get to what matters. What Shichi-Go-San really is without cheap mysticism. You've probably never heard of Shichi-Go-San, and I don't blame you for that. But what this ancient Japanese tradition reveals about human transformation is so profound, it can completely change how you face your own journey. Let's get straight to the point. Without romanticizing, Shichi-Go-San isn't a classic philosophical method or a packaged self-help technique. It's a 1,000-year-old cultural ritual that celebrates children at ages 3, 5, and 7. It might seem like just a cute ceremony, but the hidden truth behind it is much more impactful. These numbers weren't chosen by chance. They represented critical portals of survival. In ancient Japan, child mortality was extremely high, and reaching these specific ages meant the child had crossed real barriers of life or death. Each milestone was a passage, proof that something internal had matured enough to guarantee continuity. And here's the part that connects everything to you today. Japan never taught discipline as a technique, but as a passage. It wasn't about brute force or forced self-discipline. It was about recognizing that there are moments in life where you need to die symbolically to be reborn stronger. Modern man, immersed in infinite distractions and empty promises of quick change, has completely forgotten that true transformation requires crossing internal portals. Uncomfortable moments where you leave behind who you were and assume a new identity. The big lie they sold you is that you can change without changing. that a course, a book, a motivational phrase is enough. But Japanese philosophy always knew you only transform when you cross through, when you face the void, uncertainty, fear of the unknown, and come out the other side different. The backstage of real discipline isn't pretty. It's lonely, confusing, painful, but it's necessary. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because there's an invisible structure that governs these passages. And when you understand the comment, I cross through, this phrase is your commitment to real transformation. And look, since we're talking about crossing portals and building this unshakable mindset, I've prepared something that can really accelerate this process for you. It's a material called the Path of Japanese Discipline. It will transform your ordinary mind into a disciplined, focused, and unshakable mind, capable of acting every day, even when motivation fails, even when fatigue weighs heavy, and even when nobody's watching. This ancestral method teaches how to eliminate procrastination, master unstable emotions, and build the silent consistency that shapes true winners. It's not about fleeting enthusiasm, but about developing the mental power that sustains permanent results. In fact, over 1 million copies have already reached people around the world. If it makes sense to you, check out the material I left down in the description. This content complements what we're talking about here and can save you a lot of time in practice. But I need to be honest, this material could go offline at any moment. I might take it down in the next few days, so if it's useful to you, take advantage while it's still available. Be part of this transformation too. But back to what really matters here. 7. Consciousness and self-mastery, the mind that commands. There's a decisive moment in the journey of anyone seeking real transformation. It's that silent instant where you realize the true enemy was never the world out there. It was always your own uncontrolled mind. And it's exactly here that the number 7 enters as the highest portal of the Japanese code. The 7 represents mental maturity. Not that superficial maturity of someone who just ages, but the deep maturity of someone who finally conquered emotional self-control. It's the ability to act by intention, not by impulse. It's having clarity of purpose when everyone around you is lost in the fog of distractions. Japanese philosophy always understood a brutal truth. Discipline begins when you stop obeying your impulses. Think with me. How many times have you already sabotaged your own goals because you gave in to a momentary impulse? That thing of sleeping 10 more minutes, skipping the workout just today, checking social media just real quick. These micro moments of mental weakness are the invisible backstage of failure. Let me tell you, something few people realize. You can have the perfect routine, the most well-crafted plan in the world, motivation through the roof, but without mastery of the mind, any structure collapses. It's like building a house on sand. The first emotional wave that comes knocks everything down, and then you're back to square one, wondering why you can never maintain consistency. Self-mastery isn't about repressing emotions or becoming a robot. It's about creating an internal space between stimulus and response. When you feel like giving up, there's a fraction of a second where you can choose. Most people act on autopilot. The impulse arises, and they've already obeyed it. But whoever reached the portal of 7 can pause, observe the impulse without judgment, and then make a conscious decision aligned with who they really want to be. This is the highest layer of the code. Without it, you remain eternally trapped in cycles of restarting. Comment: I command my mind. This declaration marks the moment you take real control. 5. Structure and action, the body that executes. Now let's descend from the world of ideas and enter the territory where most people get stuck: real execution. Because you can have all the consciousness and self-mastery in the world, but if there's no consistent action, nothing changes. And this is where the number 5 enters as the practical foundation of everything. The 5 represents behavior and routine. It's the body that executes while the mind is still in doubt. It's waking up and doing, even when every cell in your body screams for 5 more minutes of sleep. Japanese philosophy always knew that discipline isn't built in epic moments or big decisions. It's forged in the boring, the repetitive, the invisible. Let me tell you a truth that's going to hurt. Real transformation happens when you're alone, without an audience, without applause, doing the same thing for the 100th time. It's in the silent, daily training. In that moment when nobody's watching, and you could easily skip the commitment. But you don't skip it. Not because you're motivated, motivation left weeks ago. You continue because you built a structure that doesn't depend on fleeting emotions. The samurai had a brutal concept about this. The warrior's path isn't glamorous. It's waking up every day and sharpening the sword, training the same movements 1,000 times, maintaining posture even when the body begs for rest. There's no shortcut. There's no magic hack. There's only you and the commitment to the process day after day, even when it's boring. And here's the secret few people understand. Simple, repeatable habits beat complex strategies every time. You don't need a perfect plan. You need minimal actions you can repeat every day without exception. 5 minutes of meditation, 10 push-ups when you wake up, read 3 pages before bed. Seems ridiculously small, right? But these are the micro-actions that build the identity of someone disciplined. The raw reality is this: your identity isn't formed by what you say or think. It's formed by what you do repeatedly. If you act like someone disciplined every day, you become disciplined. There's no other way. Comment: I build in the invisible. This is the mentality of those who understand that the silent backstage is where true transformation happens. 3. Vital foundation, the invisible base. There's something nobody tells you when talking about discipline. You can do everything right in execution, have a sharp mindset, the perfect routine, and still collapse. Know why? Because you ignored the base. And without a solid base, you're not building discipline. You're practicing self-aggression disguised as productivity. The number 3 in Japanese philosophy represents the vital foundation. It's the invisible layer that sustains everything. We're talking about sleep, nutrition, breathing, silence, and energy. Seems too basic? Exactly why most people despise it, and exactly why most people fail. Let me give you a real example. You wake up at 5 in the morning full of determination, train hard, work all day, sleep 4 hours because sleep is for the weak, eat any garbage because I don't have time, and completely ignore the signals your body is screaming. At first you can handle it. Adrenaline holds you up, but in 3 weeks you're irritated, unfocused, sick, and back on the couch. And then comes that destructive thought: I don't have discipline. Lie. You had discipline. What you didn't have was foundation. The hidden truth Japanese masters always knew is that a tired warrior loses the war before it begins. Samurai didn't just train, they deeply respected the body as an instrument of execution. They slept well, they ate with intention, they practiced conscious breathing to keep the nervous system regulated. They created moments of silence to process information and restore mental clarity. This isn't weakness, it's strategy. Because when you ignore the base, you're trying to build a tower in the air. Every decision you make drained is worse. Every action executed without vital energy is mediocre. You become a productive zombie, doing a lot, accomplishing little, destroying yourself in the process. And there's more. Your body isn't your enemy that needs to be tamed with extreme deprivation. It's your most powerful ally when you learn to treat it with strategic respect. Sleeping well isn't laziness, it's operating system maintenance. Eating consciously isn't fussiness, it's high-performance fuel. Breathing deeply isn't a waste of time, it's a nervous system reset. Without a base, discipline becomes self-aggression, and self-aggression always collapses. Comment: I respect my base. This phrase marks the moment you understand that taking care of the foundation isn't optional, it's essential. Why? This code works for modern man. Now that you've seen each layer separately, you need to understand how they connect, because it's precisely in this integration where the real power of this ancestral code lives. And this is where most people make a brutal mistake. The Japanese code works because it's not linear, it's structural. Think with me. You have 3 levels operating at the same time. The 7 governs the mind. It's the commander who makes conscious decisions and controls impulses. The 5 governs action. It's the soldier who executes every day, without questioning, without negotiating. And the 3 sustains life. It's the infrastructure that keeps the whole system running without collapsing. When these 3 levels work together, you become unstoppable. But here's the revelation that changes everything. The common mistake that destroys most people's discipline is starting with 5 without having 3 and 7. They jump straight to action without structuring the base and without mastering the mind. It's like trying to drive a car without fuel and without a steering wheel. You accelerate, make noise, but don't go anywhere. The logic is crystal clear. If you don't have 3, if you're sleeping poorly, eating garbage without vital energy, your body will sabotage any execution attempt. If you don't have 7, if your mind is a slave to impulses and has no clarity of purpose, every difficult decision will knock you down. And then you force 5. Try to compensate with pure brute action until you burn out completely. Japanese philosophy always knew this. The masters never taught only combat techniques. They taught the entire life. How to eat, how to sleep, how to breathe, how to think, how to act. Because they understood that a warrior is a complete system. You can't optimize just one part and expect the whole to work. Modern man lives in a world of hacks, shortcuts, quick solutions. Everyone wants the secret technique, the infallible method, the trick that will solve everything overnight. But the truth is hard. There's no shortcut to internal maturity. You need to build from the bottom up. Respect the base, master the mind, and only then execute with relentless consistency. When you integrate the 3 levels, something extraordinary happens. Discipline stops being effort and becomes identity. You don't need to force yourself anymore. You simply act according to who you've become. Comment: I am the complete system. This declaration marks the moment you understand that real transformation requires total integration. The modern warrior's practical ritual, immediate application. Now comes the most important moment of everything we've talked about so far, because knowledge without application is just entertainment. And you didn't come this far to be entertained. You came to truly transform. So let's turn this video into an initiation ritual, into a real milestone in your journey. I want you to do something right now, not tomorrow, not on Monday. Now, you're going to choose one habit for each of the 3 levels of the Japanese code, a minimal but non-negotiable commitment that you'll honor for the next 7 days. Just 7 days. It doesn't need to be forever, just 1 week of proof that you're capable. First, level 3, the vital base. Choose a simple adjustment that will restore your energy. It could be sleeping 15 minutes earlier every day, drinking water when you wake up before anything else, or taking 3 deep breaths before each meal. Seems ridiculously small. Perfect. It means you'll be able to do it. Don't underestimate the impact of restoring the base. Everything starts from there. Second, level 5, daily action. Create a minimal routine you'll execute without exception. It could be 5 push-ups when you wake up, reading 1 page before bed, or writing 3 things you're grateful for. The key here isn't intensity, it's consistency. Japanese masters knew that repetition builds identity. You're not doing push-ups, you're becoming someone who acts regardless of how you feel. Third, level 7, mental mastery. Identify an automatic impulse you're going to eliminate. It could be not grabbing your phone in the first 30 minutes of the day, not complaining for 24 hours, or pausing 3 seconds before reacting emotionally to any situation. This practice will create the mental space necessary for you to start commanding your impulses instead of being commanded by them. These 3 commitments seem simple, but they'll reveal something profound about you, because it's not about the size of the action, it's about proving to yourself that you're capable of honoring your own word. Today you don't seek motivation. You cross through a portal. Comment: I cross through now. And along with this phrase, share which habit you chose at each level. This makes the commitment real. Discipline isn't starting strong. It's remaining conscious. There's an image they sell you about discipline that's completely false. That cinematic scene of the guy waking up at 4 in the morning, training until he bleeds, living at an unsustainable intensity, and you look at that and think, that's how I need to be. But the truth Japanese philosophy teaches you is exactly the opposite. The true samurai isn't intense, he's consistent. He doesn't burn all his energy in 1 day of glory. He wakes up every day, does what needs to be done, and goes to sleep knowing tomorrow he'll wake up and do it again. There's no drama, there's no spectacle, there's only constant presence and aligned action. The big revelation most people take years to understand is this: discipline isn't about starting strong. Everyone starts strong. Every new year, every beginning of the month, Every Monday is full of people starting strong, packed gyms, ambitious plans, grandiose promises. But where are these people 3 weeks later, back on the couch feeling like failures, waiting for the next wave of motivation to try again? Know what the problem is? They were depending on external motivation. And motivation is like weather. It changes all the time. One day it's sunny, the next it's raining. You can't build a solid life on something so unstable. Those who mature internally don't depend on external motivation. They act because of who they are, not because they're feeling like it. This is the brutal difference between temporary effort and permanent identity. Effort is forcing yourself to do something that goes against who you are. Identity is acting according to who you've become. When you build discipline as identity, there's no internal conflict. You don't need to convince yourself every day. You simply act because people like you do this. Japanese masters had a powerful concept. The path is daily, silent, and invisible. There are no shortcuts. There are no heroic explosions that compensate for months of negligence. There's only today. And the question that defines everything is, did you remain conscious today? Did you honor your commitments when nobody was watching? Did you act according to who you decided to be? Comment, I remain conscious. This is the promise of those who understood that discipline isn't about intensity, but about permanence. And look, if you made it this far, it means something resonated with you. And that tells me a lot about who you are. You're not the type who consumes superficial content and forgets 2 minutes later. You're seeking something real, something that actually works. And I want to continue this journey with you. If you're not already part of the channel, subscribe. Now, the next videos will deepen these concepts of Japanese philosophy even more, and each one was created to help you build this unshakable mindset. You're not alone on this path. And tell me in the comments, I made it to the end. This shows me who's really committed to their own transformation, and I read every comment. Your presence here matters. If this content added value for you, if it brought clarity or made you see something different, leave a like. And if you want to support the channel even more, did you like this content? Buy me a coffee. The link is in this video's description. Each gesture like this helps me continue creating better and better content for you. Oh, and one more thing. I left the link to the ebook, The Path of Japanese Discipline, in the first pinned comment. There you'll find the complete structured method, ready to apply. It's worth checking out if you want to accelerate this process. And before you go, there's a video right here that perfectly complements this subject. Click and continue with me over there. See you soon.